dying is one of the worst things you can do in Deadlock, outside of losing your patron. So if you're spending a bunch of time scrolling while you wait for the respawn timer, we're going to talk about a few big concepts and quick tips to get your eyes back on the screen that you want to be looking at. In Deadlock, 90% of bad or avoidable deaths come from being out of position, and good or even decent positioning, it isn't as simple as just where you're standing. You need to take into account the 11 other players in your lobby, both on and off your team. And in regards to staying alive, it's more important to keep track of the enemy team, and this is majorly going to influence almost every decision you make in this game. And there's a few questions you need to be asking when you look down at your minimap every few seconds. Number 1, who's on the minimap, or rather, who's missing from the minimap? Number 2, where are they? And then number 3, how much danger am I in, or will I be in if I stay here for more than a couple of seconds? And now that we've brought up danger, there's one more really important thing that you do need to know, and that's the 3 hidden lanes in Deadlock. And these lanes run horizontally across the map, as opposed to housing objectives. They correlate to how close you are to the enemy's base. The first one is mid, and this is just simply the area between the Guardians where most of the laning phase of the game happens. This zone is in between the barbed wire, it's no man's land. It's just as easy for an enemy to be here as it is for you, so if your enemies are missing, know an engagement is possible. The next zone, and the most important one, is the skirmish zone. This is the zone that occupies the Guardians to just before the walkers. And when you're in the enemy's skirmish zone, you are invading their territory, and either directly or indirectly through the trooper wave, putting pressure on the enemy's objective. And that pressure forces the enemy to come to you and react to that and relieve that pressure. So if you think that you're alone in this area of the map, you likely will not be for very long. You only want to be in this area of the map if you have enough awareness of the enemy team to know that you're alone, if you're planning to leave very soon, or if you're prepared to fight the enemies that you may run into. Those are the only times that you really want to be in that area, outside of, obviously pushing. And this area is also closer to the enemy's base than mid, so it's easier for an enemy to rotate to you or leave a jungle camp that they may have just been farming around the corner to come and fight you. And then finally, the siege zone. This is the area under and behind the walkers up into the enemy's base. The siege zone of the map is somewhere you should generally avoid unless you're making a dedicated push to siege the objective. It's incredibly easy for the enemy to rotate to you in this zone. It's filled with stronger objectives and harder geometry to escape through. And for each zone that you get closer to the enemy's base, it becomes exponentially more dangerous because the enemy can rotate to you faster the closer that you get to their base. And now you know about the 3 hidden lanes, we'll ratchet back up to those 3 questions we asked ourselves earlier and take a look at an example. But unfortunately, in replays, you can see even missing enemies' health bars, so just bear with me for the purpose of the example that there are still enemies missing, even though we do see their health bars. And so I'm walking up to the walker here, so for question 1, who's on the map? I see on the other side of the map there are 3 enemies, and one of them just died, so 2 enemies are there, 1 enemy's dead. Infernus is smack in the middle of the map, so we got 4 accounted for, Lash and Billy are missing. And so we're already missing 2 people. I've already failed at question 1. We don't need to know exactly where every single enemy is at the map at all times to make a push, or to push into the skirmish zone. But we can't be so clueless to their whereabouts that they're literally right behind us like Lash is here without us knowing. We're way too deep without any idea of where the other 2 people are. We need to have at least some idea of that. Speaking of where 2 people are, question 2, where are they? I've got no clue. If Lash had just pinged mid and I felt confident fighting Billy, then I could keep pushing into their siege zone here. But again, I failed to even ask this question. I'm just getting tunnel vision on doing walker damage while my team is fighting on the other side of the map. And so you can already see how failing to ask these questions is a critical failure. And so question number 3, how much danger am I in? A fucking ton. There are multiple missing enemies, and on top of that, I'm in the siege zone, so the ones that weren't missing that we're fighting over on the other side of the map or Infernus can get to me very, very quickly. And so, without much fanfare, I completely misplay and Lash utterly shits on me. He gets to show off his first grade typing skills and keeps it moving while I am left looking at a black and white screen. And so if you find yourself dying a lot without accomplishing anything, like I did just there, you're probably failing to ask those 3 questions. So, to recap, who's on the map? Where are they? How much danger am I in, or will I be in if I stay there? And remember, the last one, it increases the closer that you get to the enemy base. And so that's the big 3 hidden questions and the 3 hidden lanes concepts you can employ to help keep yourself alive in your games. But I do have a few more quick tips for you. And the first one's going to be to don't chase kills. Be happy with positive trades. Chasing low HP enemies is a huge mistake I see newer players making, specifically in the skirmish zone and into the siege zone. Running around aimlessly trying to secure a final kill in these zones is a mistake because number one, that enemy is probably already running to a teammate that's likely stronger than you, since you probably just used a bunch of your abilities and health to fight that person you're chasing, but also because you're losing seconds that you could be spending stealing their farm. If they're running from you, they're not running to the nearest jungle camp to go farm or the sinner sacrifice to go and break. Don't put yourself into a dangerous situation when you've already won. Be happy with that. And then the next tip I got for you is to use your character's unique abilities to escape in unique ways and utilize verticality. A lot of heroes have abilities that maybe don't seem like a movement ability, but they can be used as such, and getting vertical is often one of the best ways to escape someone if they can't make that jump. Calico and Shiv, their 2s are very similar in this regard. They both can get big vertical boosts with it. Scale the side of a building like Spider-Man. Vindicta, she can engage then unengage her 2 as well. Funny, I didn't even realize until I'm recording these are all 2s. And then that's not even counting like actual movement abilities like Lash's Grappler, Holiday's Bounce Pad. Are all of these 2s? Is every movement ability in this game a 2? I'm just realizing this. And then guys, just keep these few simple counter items in your back pocket. They're really helpful. Rebuttal and Healing Right, these are both going to serve you well in lane. You can easily counter some really punch-happy heroes with Revolver, with Rebuttal, and Healing Right is going to prevent you from having to go back to base and heal in 95% of the situations, which you should always look to avoid to go back to base to heal because you miss out on all the souls that are being farmed in your lane anyways. Then Debuff Remover, which removes every non-ultimate effect in the game. So if Vindicta is throwing her crow at you, or if you get silenced, you can easily debuff remove it and keep it moving. If people are just sticking stuns on you, you can use this to get rid of that. And then Counterspell is a really strong item that counters some heroes like Lash or Yamato almost directly. Look to keep these items in your back pocket and just identify a place in your build that you like buying the counter items. You'll be much better off with some defense instead of rushing to the next biggest damage increase. Then guys, that's just about all I got for you this time though. I did want to mention one thing, and that's just, I'm an above average player at best. So the educational content on this channel is always going to be fairly new player focused until I rank up enough to the point that I feel like I'm confident explaining the more advanced concepts. I just don't feel like I'm a big enough authority to explain those advanced concepts really. But some tips I've learned and how to feed less are perfectly up for grabs in my view. So I'd like to think I've learned a thing or two in my almost 1,000 hours of Deadlock now. So if you learned a thing or two from the video, I would really appreciate you giving it a like. I'd be tremendously grateful, and it's just one of the best ways to support the channel. But the best way to support the channel is to become a member, and so members, thank you guys so much. Your support means the world to me, and I'm just so grateful for you and all the people that watched the video tonight. So guys, I hope you have a fantastic day, and if you have any questions or anything like that, feel free to drop them in the comments. I will be sure to answer them. So guys, have a fantastic day. I will see you again soon. Peace.